And welcome back to another edition of St. Louis 7, following an episode of OT with Oliver. This one had a good time catching up with Doug Vaughn. Everybody knows him from KMOV. A lot of people also know him from his morning show from, 2007 till today would make it. What did we figure out? That's 14 years?
That sounds right.
Morning after?
Yeah, I'd have to put that on the calculator to know it for sure, but it
We
sounds like
talked about our favorite passions on the golf course. We talked about living in St. Louis, coming back to St. Louis. You've been at KMOV for 30 plus years. And at the tender young age of 65, still kicking boots and taking names.
I don't know how many names I've been taking. I'm just trying to remember names. I don't take many. If I can just remember a name, that's the good part. That's the first thing to go, by the way, as you get older, is forgetting names. I'm not sure why that is. And my dad told me this would be the case because he, confused my name and my brother's name oftentimes. But now here I am, my father, struggling to remember anybody's name.
All
Happens
right,
in
so
a hurry.
Dave, Dennis, no, it's Doug. That's right. It's Doug.
That kind of thing. Yeah.
High
Yeah.
school in
Just
Kirkwood. What do we remember?
what do I remember from Kirkwood High?
Yeah, going to high school in Kirk.
Uh, well, I loved it. I loved it. Played basketball there. My junior year, we went to the state final and lost to DeSmet by 4 points. Sophomore year, went to the state final, lost to Raytown South by 4 points. I'm not over it yet. This was the early 70s. We had like the best team in the state. My sophomore year, I didn't play. I was on the sophomore team, but practice sometimes with the varsity guys. They were 32-0, I think, ranked number one in the state, and lost the state final. And then my junior year, when I did play a little, we were 31-1 and lost in the state final. So no, I'm not over it yet at all. I don't think I ever will be.
You
Kirkwood
got some
has never won
eligibility left, right?
I do not. Kirkwood has never won the state basketball championship, and we were that close twice. It really does haunt you. It
I was
really
never
does to
close
get,
enough to know. So,
you know, well, I was, and I'm still haunted by it.
so is it harder to lose 50-0, or is it harder to lose 2-1?
Oh, at that point, probably 2-1. But at that point, when we really thought we were going to win them both, and probably should have, to not win either one, yeah, that was pretty disappointing.
Favorite
I coached
concert
at the
you've
time
seen in
at
St.
Miller.
Louis?
Uh, I'm not a concert goer. I never really have been. I was always much more interested in watching the Cardinals or the Blues and going to a concert. I did see Chicago and I guess Earth, Wind, and Fire together a couple of years ago at the Hollywood Casino place, and I enjoyed that. But I'm not the normal type person that has been to 100 concerts in their life and can tell you tales about all these bands. That's not me. I always enjoy the music. I just have never been a concert goer.
That's where all that pot smoking goes.
Yeah, and I was not that guy. Never have been. Was never interested in it. Wasn't going to do it. Mm-mm. No, that
So
wasn't me.
you're trying to get back to St. Louis. You started Minnesota. You spent some time in Miami. You get the job in St. Louis. Do you remember the first night back where you celebrated the new job?
Um, Not really. I remember I moved in with my sister who lived here. Um, I don't know that we celebrated. I probably did, but I don't know. As I told you before, I took a big pay cut to come here, so there probably wasn't a lot of celebrating about that. Uh, the first night I worked, I remember the first day that I worked covering the Cardinals, they lost like 19-0. I mean, it was one of the worst defeats in the history of the team. I do remember that much. But you're talking about 1988 now, and I don't really remember what I had for lunch. So to say how I celebrated when I came back here, I don't really remember.
Favorite
I
Cardinal
don't.
growing up?
Kenny Boyer.
Ah,
I, I have a Ken Boyer jersey to this day. Yeah, he was the star when I was a little kid. And I used to get into arguments with my brother who thought Stan Musial was the better player, and I would argue that Ken Boyer was the better player. And then he would show me the back of the baseball cards, and I would stick to my guns and say, no, there's this Boyer, I think he's better than usual, which was a ridiculous argument. But he was a good player. He was a MVP one year and an all-star many years. He was my favorite as a little kid.
Musial is one of my all-time favorite trivia questions with the amount of hits he's had. Do you know the trivia I'm talking about?
Right, same number home and away.
Yeah, isn't that crazy?
Yeah, it really is.
Is
Oh,
it, does it
yeah,
consistency is 3,600 hits, half at home, half away.
right. I'm not old enough to really remember him as a player. The only thing I remember him was his last game. It's one of my earliest memories as a Cardinal fan was when he got a base hit and they replaced him with a pinch runner so he could leave the game to an ovation to end his career. I do remember that happening. That was about it. So I didn't, as a kid, I had no real appreciation for just how great the guy was.
Right.
Of course, I do now and learned in short order. But at the time, I didn't realize it.
It's much like the young generation needing to understand how great Doug Vaughn is.
Doug Vaughn and Stan Musial, you talk about the two most prolific St. Louisans ever. These are the two, and the conversation probably stops right there too. I don't even know who else would join that group. You'd like to put together a Mount Rushmore. I just don't know that there are two others that could go into the group of me and Musial.
Of
We are
all the
both
sportscasts you've done, half of them were with your left side of the face and half of them with your right side of the face.
pretty much, yeah, half at 6 o'clock, half at 10 o'clock. That's a hard thing to pull off. Yeah.
People come and visit you in St. Louis. Where do you take them?
Um, we go to the zoo sometimes. Ted Cruz, of course. Grant's Farm is something that we don't have everywhere else. Uh, most of my family and friends have moved out of St. Louis rather than moving into St. Louis at this point. But those would be the main places, I guess. Zoo, Grant's Farm, Ted Drew's, Cardinal game.
I'm going to hit the aquarium for the first time in a couple of weeks. You been there yet?
I have not been there.
Yeah,
No.
I'm looking forward to it. Fingers
Nice.
crossed.
Yeah. I've heard that it's nice. I haven't done the Ferris wheel either. I don't get out much. Man of my age can't afford to risk getting on a Ferris wheel. Yeah. They die right there on the Ferris wheel and have everybody have to stop and get off and have the fire department come. So I have not been to the Ferris wheel yet either.
You're not taking the Ferris wheel because you're really concerned about what other people would have to do. You're not concerned about you dying on the Ferris wheel. It's all the pain you would cause these other people.
My time is short, and I would fully expect to perish on the Ferris wheel, but I don't want to put those around me in any kind of inconvenient situation. Yeah, you read that right.
All right, as we're getting ready to wrap this up again, if you want to check other St. Louis Sevens, it's on the YouTube channel OT with Oliver. The podcast is wherever you get your podcast, OT with Oliver. Doug was gracious enough to sit down. I think you'll enjoy it if you give it some time. Last question we ask everybody: what makes you proud to be a St. Louis?
I think St. Louis is one of the great underrated cities in America. When you're not from here, you don't think much of St. Louis. You think about the Arch maybe and the Cardinals, and you don't think much else. But I've known a lot of people that have come here, that have moved here, and were really surprised that it's a friendly place. It's kind of an easy place to live. The weather's not horrible, and when it is bad, just about the time you can't take it anymore, it changes. It's not an expensive place to live. People are generally polite and friendly. Generally, the traffic's not horrible. It's easy to get other places in the country. I think that's what makes St. Louis so livable. It's what I've always liked about it, is a combination of all those things. I've lived in some other places, and when I lived there, it made me appreciate St. Louis more. It made me want to come back more. And that seems to happen to a lot of people who go away to college and they think, well, there's got to be more, got to be something better than St. Louis. And I'm sure there are cities that are a lot better than St. Louis. But once you've lived here and it's in your system, you realize that this is a very comfortable place to be. And it always has been for me. And I know a lot of other people would say that as well, that, it's fun to visit other places, but when you want to put down roots and you decide you want to really live someplace and lead most of your life here and raise a family, this is a great place to be.
Enjoyed it, man. Keep enjoying your journey. I love watching you. I love listening to you. Be safe. Be good.
All right. Thanks, Dan. Good talking to you.